you got me bluer than the sky at 10 a.m. I know you know what you're doing, so please let's not play pretend. You gotta get with the times, so you're not left behind with a frail.
Everyone, Africa Miranda here, and I'm so excited to be kicking off the inaugural Finesse Factory Finesse Fame Conversation. This is going to be a great platform that is highlighting and amplifying millennial voices in the creative space, and I will be talking right now with the creator of the Finesse Factory, Anastasia Davis. This young woman is someone that I had the pleasure of connecting with a few years ago. She's a graduate of my alma mater, Alabama State University, and we connected when Anastasia was in undergrad. I was doing some events on campus, and she was really identified by the university as, you know, a student leader to partner with, and we have gone on together to create some amazing images and content. And she's gone on to honestly just blossom. She's graduated from then post-graduation at ASU with a graduate degree from Full Sail, and has now gone on to work on major productions. She's created her own projects that are now flourishing in the digital space as well. So Anastasia, I'm so excited. And I'm so proud of you for kicking this off.
Thank you. It's just like Mara was saying, it's one of those moments where you're just like, oh my goodness. I remember fangirling, going through the Alabama State University records and checking out all the former Miss ASUs, and I found a name that just stood out to me. I said, Africa. I said, that is cute. Who is this? And I was like, Google, and then all this stuff popped up. I said, she's amazing. Like, I was just so happy. And then I remember reaching out to you, I think via Facebook, and from there you actually responded, gave me your number. I said, oh my mom can attest to this. I was running around the house like, she hit me back. Life is good. I'm on the top. Like, it was amazing. And then to go from there to actually having the university reach out to me for Girls with Curls, I was like, come on, universe, come on, Lord, let's go. So I'm just so happy to have this moment in which it's like, wow, somebody who I look up to, aspire to, is introducing me. Like, how does that go? Even if it's on Zoom during a quarantine and the world is trying to end, it doesn't matter.
No, it's
dreams still come true.
They do, and it's my pleasure. And I think if there was ever a time that, you know, now is the time that if you have these ideas and you have these things that you've been wanting to work on or try or, you know, just launch, I'm so inspired when I see people like you know, just creating. It's like continuing to create, not waiting for opportunities. And I just really think this conversation, this Finesse Fame interview tonight is going to be so inspirational for so many people that watch it. And I'm like, and keeping this theme of inspiration going, our special guest tonight is another young woman that I have had the pleasure with connecting with in this business. She is absolutely a powerhouse, and one that I know is going to be a voice and a talent to continue to rise for the next generation. She was recognized by 2190 as a dream chasing, and I wanted to make sure I read this quote unquote, dream chasing girl boss you need to follow. She's absolutely like a true multi-hyphenate, a producer, a creative, a talent. So you can, have this young woman in front of the camera, behind the camera, and she literally has a lifetime, even at, her young age, of experience in this business. So I'm so excited to welcome Maura Chanz to the first ever Finesse Fame interview.
Thank you. Much like Anastasia, I'm honored to have you, introducing me. So it's such a full circle moment, as you mentioned. We also have a relationship that's gone back a few years now, and so this is just a really great culmination of relationship and sisterhood, and I'm very excited to be in conversation.
I feel exactly the same. It's just, in this business, you never know how you're going to end up connecting with people and then where the relationship is going to go. So to give you guys a little background, Maura and I were both talent on a hair campaign for a hair brand a few years back. And that's how we met. And, you were and I remember that you were actually kicking off your return to being in front of the camera at that point. It was right before, the Box Up, so everybody knows Box Up in the headlines and how everything they do in the digital space, but Box Up was transitioning into television, and you were one of the first hosts for the show.
Yes. Absolutely. It's crazy. Time is flying, and I'm like, like you look back at your own resume, and it's like, just, oh, wow, yeah, I did that. That chapter is, I did it, and that chapter is over. You just keep on moving. So yes, absolutely. It's nostalgic hearing you mention that.
I know, and it's because at first I was like, oh, we did that last summer. Then I was like, no, that was
3.
It was 3, maybe almost 4.
Almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Well, let's get into our conversation. Anastasia, I want to just start with you. You know, this is the platform that you're creating. We're kicking this off with this conversation. What was the inspiration behind, you know, Finesse Factory and the Finesse Fame Conversations?
Well, Finesse Factory began as just like a little saying that my friends always used to say about me. They used to be like, girl, you like the finesse queen. You finesse your way into everything, to do everything. Like, and my little quote for Millennial Finesse Factory is that finessing is just a higher form of hustling. So I just, yeah, that's what I quoted. So I just look at that and I just really think about all the various people I grew up with, you know, both in Chicago and Indiana and everything in between. And I just think about how many people live and think they can't achieve certain things. And I'm like, I was in the hood just like you. I got 24 hours just like you. And I say all that to say, not like, oh, you know, we could be Beyonce. We all got 24 hours. But it's more so to inspire, like, we have the same surroundings, the same obstacles, you know, everybody's may have, you know, different variables to it, but inevitably you can attain what you, for cliche's sake, what you put your mind to. So I wanted to be able to create a space and a platform in which I could answer all these multiple questions that people throw at me every 5 minutes. Like, how in the world are you working in Hollywood? How did you go to the Emmys? Like, all these various things. And then I thought to myself, like, I'm not the sole knowledge base for these type of questions. There are so many people who are, you know, living the dream at our age, who actually come from similar backgrounds and different backgrounds, who can give their knowledge and their testimony and success story or struggle story as to how they are where they're at. So when I came across Maura, of course, I was like, oh snap, this girl lit. I said, let me just slide in these DMs real quick. And then it was just amazing because I had seen some of her work before. And then I also saw her again during Verzuz. So I was like, oh, I was like, see, this is a sign. Let's bring her in now. And I was already asking a poll in my inbox or in my Instagram story asking, like, would you all like to know how to finesse fame or finesse fortune? And for some odd quarantine reason, everybody said fame. So I said, in the age of TikTok, I think this is appropriate. And I think people can learn from this and create their own opportunities and hear from boss women like you all and boss men who are soon to come.
Awesome. Well, I'm like, well, we're coming right to you then as the boss woman of the hour. So you know, in keeping with the theme of the you know, of this convo, finessing fame, how have you finessed your way to fame, so to speak? Because what I love is that, you know, you literally, like, your hands are in things that people are enjoying and they don't even realize that you are the architect behind it. Because, you know, and I'll save some of it because we're going to get into it a little later in the conversation, but how have you been able to finesse, for lack of a better word, you know, all of these different opportunities and moves that you've made in the business?
Absolutely. One, it's so interesting, just even the phrase finesse fame, and I'm just like, do people, you know, do people consider me famous? Because I don't.
Yes, you're famous.
But you know what I have noticed about fame is access. Fame is access, and to quote, I remember I had a conversation early on with a mentor of mine and friend of both of ours, Jovi and Zane Peters, and I was talking about, I think I had missed an opportunity of some sort, and she was like, Maura, you know, I didn't have enough following at the time. And she's like, you influence the people that the world watches.
Thank you.
And she was like, you're behind those people are calling you in to see what you thought about a record and all of these different things. And, you know, so I've recently changed my perspective on fame. You know, I'm very much like a hidden gem behind the scenes. People, it's like, if you know, you know. That's kind of how I move. Like, if you know, you know. But you know, I think the finessing part has really been, it's twofold. It's one, always vocalizing what I want to do in space. I just verbalize it. Oh, I'm interested in this. And from a young age, I'm interested in this. I want to do this. I see someone who's doing it. I'm watching them. And I think the second part is the relationship. I think a large part about fame, so to speak, it's not necessarily, you know, who you know, but who knows you. And so I really, really, really focused on creating true relationships. Not transactional relationships. And sometimes there are transactions that occur within the relationship. But that's not the basis. It's usually, I'm coming from a space of admiration, of curiosity,
Yep.
Even just wanting to contribute. Like so many moments I've got to be a part of it simply because like, I want to contribute to the history of these moments, regardless if you know my name. A lot of people don't know my name. I mean, even with the Verzuz you guys brought up, it's crazy. I think I saw I had like 1 billion impressions. And unlike any other Verzuz, this was the one that the graphic really kind of was everywhere. I mean,
everywhere.
It was so many things. And I haven't seen you'll hear about the Verzuz battles, but you don't see the artwork leading that conversation.
And and I will just say, and to interject, that there's a reason for it. None of the promotions or graphics have been on the level of the one that you created. Like it was obvious because I was even like, did they get a team? They got a new team. I was like,
right, big up.
No, I mean, because it was an absolute upgrade.
Thank you. So I think, even those type of moments, it's all based on relationship. And so I think that's really how I've finessed fame is I've never limited what I wanted to do. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be on camera, I want to produce. It's like, I want to be on camera, I want to produce, I want to direct, I just say it. And once I say it, I already know it's going to come to pass. I don't know. Once I have planted that seed, and so for me, that can look like a journal entry, that can look like a tweet, that can look like me verbalizing it to my homegirls in our group chat or saying it to anybody. Once I have declared,
yes,
what it is I'm going to do, that's step one. And then the second piece is knowing that I'm not going to do it on my own. So then it's figuring out the relationship part of that. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, you can't make a movie by yourself. You can't do this by yourself. You can't cash yourself and some stuff. And so then I have to think about who are all the people in my community, in my network, I have, it's covered right now, but I have tribe on my arm. It's a word that anyone who knows me knows. It's my brand. You are not an island. And so, and I think in finessing any of this, it's knowing that you can't do it alone.
Yeah. That is, girl, yes, you're here.
Well, and for everyone watching, I really hope that you recognize the things that she said, because it's very specific. That piece one about speaking it, there's an internal monologue that you have to even have with yourself first, and to build that confidence, because so many people I think walk around with dreams inside, and it's like then they wonder why things are happening for other people and they're not happening for me, and I feel like I'm working hard. But if sometimes many of us work in silence. It's like you have got to be unafraid to, like you said, speak it out there to someone, to something, but literally put those dreams and desires out there, because it's almost impossible for them to manifest. It is impossible, honestly, for them to manifest, I feel, until they you give them life and you birth those thoughts. So I really hope for everyone watching that is sitting on some dreams, sitting on some secret projects and things that they wish they could do, start saying it. There's same as you, Mara, there's stuff that I've just kind of randomly said. There's been tweets that I've put out and someone's like, hey, I saw a tweet that you said you wanted or you liked XYZ. I'm doing this. And I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
Literally how it happens all the time.
Yes.
It's just like, oh yeah, I saw that. All right, you said that once. Did you still want to do that?
Right. And you're like, yes, I do.
Yes. That's literally what happened to me at American Idol. Literally American Idol, I was working the Chicago gig, and I got that through my boyfriend relationship, different kind, but and literally
that's a very important decision though. That's a relationship that's very important as well.
Yes.
And literally when I was working the Chicago one, I was speaking to, my supervisor, and I was like, hey, I know American Idol travels. I do too. And I was like, if you all are going anywhere, I'm your girl. I said, I megabus, I Uber, I drive, I get there. Let me know, I will come. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll keep you in mind. Keep you in mind. I'm like, okay. Right. Oh, I got the keep you in mind answer. Little did I know, I got, let's say, upgraded, so to speak, from production assistant to assistant for Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and for Luke Bryan for American Idol in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I was like, they were like, yeah, we want to switch you from, working with the producing story team to, assisting directly with the talent. And I'm like, the talent. I'm thinking they want me to assist all these kids auditioning, all these kids?
No, they mean talent.
I'm like, and they're like, no, talent, call sheet, number 1, number 2, number 3. And I'm like, oh, I can pick Katy Perry Skittles. It's cool. But it's literally like, you know, little moments like that that really makes you realize just how much walking in that boldness and in that authority and in that position of I know what I want, I know what I have, and what I can bring to the team and the table, that really makes people look at you like, wow, okay, who is this chick? Who is this girl? And I feel like each one of us definitely have those attributes, and that's what really has helped us finesse, as opposed to the next person who's working hard but isn't verbalizing, because they can outwork you, but like if they're not giving that persona of, you know, I want this and I'm going to work until I can get to the next place, then, you know, even their hard work will not even get where you're getting. It's just, that's what I mean about the finessing. Yeah.
I've said, I guarantee it's a lot more people more talented than me.
Yep.
That I know for sure. I don't, and I was like, but I guarantee how I work all of this, they're not doing. And that's the distinguishable factor there.
Yeah. No, that's that. And that is like, if you all don't take anything away from this conversation, I will tell you this, because you're right. It's like there comes a point too where you grow in this business that everybody's talented. Everybody has, you know, certain amount of credits and experience. It starts like really going down to those small points of like, what is that extra that someone's willing to give, or energy that they're putting out there, or like strong enough. Because I've been in rooms, there've been times where I can look in the beginning of my career and I would be afraid to like show, I really wanted it, but I was afraid to say it. And I have learned now, if I'm in the room, you can ask me, what do I want? I can tell you from top to bottom. I can tell you what the project is. I can tell you what I'd like to get paid. I can tell you what the dream, like I'm no longer afraid to speak about like and also be able to speak about how good you are at what you do. Because, you know, for many of us, especially I think for women, it's like you're having to unlearn this, like, be humble and be demure, but learning that like advocate for yourself and your talents strongly does not mean that you're not humble. I'm absolutely grateful and will do all the small work up to the big work. But if you ask me if I'm the best at what I do, I'm gonna tell you absolutely I'm the person that you need, and the project is not going to be the same if I'm not on it.
That's how I move. I don't even need to say anything else, because I move the same way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's keep I want to kind of go back to some of the relationship part of it though. We all share, you know, that special bond of being HBCU grads. And for anyone that has had the privilege and the blessing and the honor, no, absolutely, to graduate from an SVU, an HBCU. I've been watching too much television. But for anyone that has had, you know, that privilege and honor of graduating from an HBCU, you know that you are then like wrapped in the arms of like a very special community. And being part of that community, or one, you can definitely be one that has, you know, can absolutely open doors for you, I think, in any field that you're in. What have you all seen in your careers that have been the benefit of being part of like this special HBCU family?
My whole career. My whole career is, I stand on the shoulders of so many people. I think HBCUs have a unique, it's so unique. I'm gonna quote one of my absolute favorite shows, Really of a Different World, but you know, no place is gonna see you and love you and care about you like an HBCU. And I think to the point we just made about talking about and declaring what you want, there's so many people that knew me within the HBCU network, specifically the Atlanta University Center, that knew what I wanted to do, what I did, have advocated for my behalf, have mentioned my name in rooms that I had no idea, have called me for jobs. Every single job I have had has really been directly related to my, just even attending where I chose Spelman one being it was in Atlanta, so I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, so there was that access point there. But also looking at the alma mater across the board from HBCUs that are in this space. I come from a long legacy of HBCU alum, and so I've always known the importance of those relationships. But for me being there, it wasn't just, oh, I need to connect with alum. It was like looking, you know, peer to peer. It was that Spike Lee. It was that, okay, oh, I need to be here. It was, I'm cool with every faculty, every staff member. I babysat their kids. I truly have babysat a lot of their children. If I didn't come to class, I had professors hitting me up like, where you at?
Yes.
Right.
I'm like, damn.
How do you know?
It was that, but it's only over the ratio, especially at my school, is 11-1. So you knew somebody wasn't in class. But it was that. I probably one of my largest opportunities, several of them, but one of my largest was I was the apprentice for Maura Chanz, and Maura came to Spelman. And Maura is not an alum of the institution, but I think it speaks to the network that the institution brings to it. And so I met Maura there, and she came to speak at the school, and me just having big sisters and knowing what I wanted to do, they made sure that I met her. And that was years prior to me working with her. They made sure I met her, and we connected. I think we shared emails. I might have emailed her, and just in her busyness, we didn't really correspond much. Fast forward 2 or 3 years later, I was at Essence, 2017, and she asked me what I was up to. We ran into each other again through another woman who I had met through the Spelman community. Angela Davis, the other Angela Davis.
Yes.
not Black Card Angela Davis. The other day Angela Davis.
Yes.
And
still powerful.
Yes. Wait, which one?
The other Angela Davis. I was like, still powerful, still
yes, absolutely. And so I met her through a professor, and so I saw her, and she's like, "Do you know Maura?" I was like, "I do know Maura." We met, and Maura's like, "It's so crazy. Since meeting you, you've been on my mind." But this was through, it was that I was able to have that moment of intimacy with her through older sisters who knew what I wanted to do, knew the spaces I wanted to be in, and they ensured that moment happened. So fast forward, it mentions an apprenticeship. I was on BASA, and I was under contract, and I was like, girl, I can't really do anything. But I ended up recommending other people that I knew. She was looking for a certain caliber of people who had some entertainment background. I'm like, okay, there's maybe like 2 or 3 other students that I think had that. And I came back to Atlanta from Essence. I was back working, and my professor, funny enough, he's not even my professor. I literally I took his class my last semester of my senior year, but I literally had just developed a relationship with him years prior. So we were really friends, and I took his class because I was like, we friends. Like, I'm gonna just take I need to finish off my time here. And Keith called in. And so Keith called me, he's like, yo, there's an apprenticeship for Maura Chanz. I heard about it through the grapevine. You're the only person I know for the job. She'd already come to me about that position, but he didn't know that. He was ensuring that I knew of the opportunity. Right. And I think that just speaks to me, to my entire HBCU experience. Oh, girl, there's an opening at BET. Oh, this is happening. Do you want to volunteer? Oh, this is it. Everywhere I've gone. And then there's always an HBCU alum in every space I've been in. Yeah. And so it's automatically a connection there. And I think specifically when you attend HBCUs, I don't want to generalize that people who attend PWIs don't feel like this. But a lot of times I've noticed that there is a mindset of, I want to be the only one, or I can't be the only one, because you come from a space in which there's only room for one. Right. You're amongst just excellence, and you're amongst in these spaces. I honestly, I'm concerned if I'm the only one. I hate being the only one in the space. And my thing is like, yo, like, can I put my homegirl in the shop?
Can I bring somebody?
Can I get somebody else? I don't even want to be the token Black person. And it comes from a place of going to school where you were not the minority. I am the majority amongst amazing talent. Mm-hmm. And so I feel comfortable in that space. I know that it's gonna, not only is the collaboration gonna be more impactful, I'm going to feel comfortable. If we need to check somebody, I got somebody who's gonna be behind me. Like, I've been on a set with a Morehouse grad. We didn't know. We met actually spinning. And I spin, and we met, and he actually introduced me to the attention team. Prior to the Levi's job, I did the rollout for Queen and Slim. Mm-hmm. And I remember they had hired a makeup artist, and this after we found out we both went to school, and I was like, I'm not about to have no white woman touch my face. So I don't know what y'all, literally he said, don't even worry about it. You already know that's gonna be handled. I was like, I don't know what y'all want to do, but this is who I want on my face. Mm-hmm. And he ensured that happened. He made sure he was like, well, they didn't have the budget. He's like, but trust me, you will be good. I will not have you looking crazy. And it is that reminded me, and this is why I chose the institution I went to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a long about answer. I have so many examples, but those are just two of like those relationships. They're your best friend, your bridesmaids. They're your bosses. They're your collaborators. They are, they really are the foundation for my career.
Yeah, they 100% are. I mean, I know that has also been, like you said, my experience as well. You meet someone and yeah, they may have gone to Howard. I went to ASU, but again, we have things that immediately give us that family that we know, okay, you get it. And I can look to you, I can lean on you. And in these spaces, you need that because that's same. I hate being the only, but if it only got to be two of us, and I know that other person, went to an HBCU, I can kind of let my guard down.
Relax
just a bit. Exactly.
It's like a whole different language. It's like a whole different way of operating. Like it's literally its own culture. Like, so I definitely understand how that is because like one of my friends, they call themselves Grip Squad because they're like a bunch of grip guys. They literally, Grip Squad always like, the rule is 2 or more. And I was like, 2 or more. They was like,
right.
2 or more. Like, I was cracking up. So literally, that's how I've gotten jobs because they're like, oh, there's not 2 or more on this one set. We're calling in people. They're literally working with producers and whatnot to make sure that there's literally at least 2 or more in the room because I literally have. I've worked and I've been the only one as well. And it literally,
ain't fun.
And it's even funnier because not being with another person who's not from an HBCU, like it's still that common ground love, like
absolutely,
POC, all that good stuff. But it's a different. It's a little different. It feels like they're more self-preservation, and we're more communal. Like,
and that
come here, nurture. Let me bring you. And they're more like, I have to be the magical
Negro
head. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it gets a little stressful, and that's a whole nother conversation, child. A whole nother day.
That's a long one, but absolutely.
But I love my PWI POCs and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But it definitely is a difference, and you can feel it. It's a whole essence in the way everything goes down. Like, even if people get a job and you're like, you were on that set. I've literally worked on a set with someone, and it's like the whole group is going from one project to the next.
Right. But
they don't tell anybody about the project. Now the HBCU people telling you, but the PWI kids don't tell you about the project. It's a little crazy. It's a conspiracy. We'll talk about it later.
I love it. That's hilarious.
I know. I'm like, I nominate that as its own like finesse fame conversation because I do think, because they're definitely, I feel like we see it on social media. It's like at least once a month, the conversation comes up.
That's a weekly conversation.
Oh my God. But it's so real because it is, there are you see the cultural differences and it manifests in situations like that. And I do think it's a good conversation to have because I'm older than you guys, but it's like I still see it in my generation. You guys are seeing it in yours. So it's like something's happening that it's not changing. And I feel like either the conversations are not being had in a constructive enough way, but there is a disconnect and it doesn't serve it doesn't serve us well to have it.
Yeah.
So it's funny, that you guys say this. So I have a younger sister. I have two sisters. One who went to Alcorn, is also an HBCU alum, and then my baby sister is currently at my alma mater at Spelman, but she attended a PWI.
Okay.
Transferred, and a large part of that, I think, her after seeing my experience with Spelman and experience with community and seeing how all of that worked for me and how I've moved and operated, she's like, I'm not getting this here. And literally, the moment she's an art curation major, and when I say got there, she is now, they took them on private talks to the Mets. And she's like, Mara, I'm calling people offered her internships prior to she hadn't applied. And just so, she's like, it's so different. It is, it is. And so getting to see that, having someone who attended a PWI, who's so close to me, and seeing vast difference in how I move and how I operate. She's like, oh, such and such, how did you do that? I'm like, oh girl, that was my big Spelman sister. She introduced me to her friend, went to Howard, and she called, and she's like,
wait, what? Exactly.
And now she's experiencing it for herself, and I'm so happy that she made that decision for herself. And I think she is too. She's like, it was the best decision I could have made.
And I think the final thing I'll touch on with the HBCU effect and how you can like finesse with that is just the brand that you can create yourself from scratch coming to HBCU, especially that social media presence. So you can literally come from your little high school, you know, now these kids these days are different. They coming out the can, 90K, 200K. And I'm like, how old are you, sis? But you know, they're coming out and it's like, you literally can help build your brand. So literally, like, I know when I was doing Golden Ambassador, which is like the official escorts of the school, we're like the creme de la creme of the school. And
I was a Spelman ambassador as well. So
there we go. So we have that common ground. So literally with the Golden Ambassadors, my supervisors or advisors or whatever who knew what I wanted to do, they would position me and help brand me. So in the university space as well as outside of the university. So they literally be like, okay, you have Steve Harvey coming to Alabama State University to do Turkey Day Classic, escort him. Oh, remember you escorted him last time? We want him to start remembering your face. Okay, we're gonna have you escort him into the convocation. Oh, we have DJ Envy here. Have you met Anastasia? Like, and it's just so amazing how they brand you. And I remember I went crazy because DJ Envy had followed me on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. And it's just even that little point of contact that really starts branding you, because when people look at their Instagram, they're like, you know, the little followed by. That little thing is so potent and powerful, I believe, finesse-wise. So it's like building that network in that way, visibly, people speaking on you, people just knowing the type of person you are prior to even meeting you. I believe that branding does not happen, cannot happen in any other space like it does on the HBCU campus, because we have HBCU Buzz, HBCU Pride Nation, Watch the Yard, Greek Shenanigans, all these platforms in which you can elevate yourself and really promote what you do, whether you're an artist who makes graduation caps and you just really want to work for Pixar. Well, now you got to plug in, because you got, every time they look at your page, 10,000 likes, this year viral all the time. Or if you're on the other spectrum in which you literally want to be in the film industry or television, you literally have all these different people in your life, and when people go to your Instagram, they're like, oh, well, maybe her credibility is valid because I see her with pictures with this person, that person. Maybe I can take a second glance at this person. So just the brand aspect and just how you can pollinate so easily within the community, I feel like is like none other. You're not just a number. You can literally run for a position, Miss ASU, Miss FAMU, and
you can be on Essence. Now you can cover, you the campus queen. You know,
exactly.
Cover of it. Okay.
Right.
It's
that
like,
happens from the school.
No, it does. And it's crazy how it does, because you start to understand the power of like building social currency. And
I was literally gonna say social equity. I was literally saying the same thing.
There you go. And then how you can then use that for other things. Like, and I think of you, Maura, with, you know, even your project that you did with Yara, you know, Yara Shahidi with Unguided. How did that connection start? Because I know for you, again, but I said when we're talking about the social currency, I know that you have social currency. And like you said, the people that need to know. So like, what was the journey that got, like, you know, there? I feel like it just popped up, and then I was like, wait, Yara, like, I was like, Mara's behind this? Because I was watching the video and didn't know.
Yeah, so that, funny enough, actually that same Essence Festival that I was at, where I saw Mara, I was brought on by AT&T to cover because Bossip was about to launch. But it literally, I'm so thankful for that community as well. But and that, even me getting tied there, we had a conference back in the day at Spelman called Women of Color Conference, and at the time Vanessa De Luca came and spoke, and was the former EIC, and she and I connected from then on. So I've had a relationship with the brand for a while. So when I was at Essence, thankfully I had an all access pass to kind of do and move, and for me it wasn't, I mean, I can go to see some concerts and things, and if I wanted to, but I'm always concerned with the people behind. I call them the puppeteers, and that's kind of where I fall in line. To me, it's like the people who puppeteer your culture. I was a fan of Yara. I thought she was just a captivating young woman, just so articulate. But beyond being captivated by Yara, I'm like, you don't get a Yara out of a vacuum. Like, who raised this girl? I'm like, and so me being backstage, I saw that she was on the program. She had a meet and greet. I think it was from State Farm. And took my little backstage pass, went back there, and I honestly went to go connect with her mother. This is years ago.
Chocolate mommy, honey. Chocolate mommy.
I went to go talk to her mom, and it wasn't anything that I could do or anything like that. I went to talk to her, and I was really just, congratulating her on just a job well done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I know a lot of times when you see us culturally, that's a tribe of people, and you know that you stand. You represent a lot of people. When I show up, I represent a lot of people, but I really represent, you're not going to disrespect my house. I represent my parents' house.
Yeah,
100%.
And just how I was like, this little girl is just laying it down. Like, she just is representing her family so well. Representing, both her Persian family, her African-American family. And so I really just went to really just say how inspired I am and just curious about things that she taught her, things that she would talk to her about, all these things. So we really talked that entire meet and greet. She asked me about myself, and we did realize we had some mutual people. My background, I was a child actress, and so my background was on camera anyway. So we had, some mutual relationships there. And that was kind of it. And then I remember literally heading to the concert that night, and I was on the phone with my little sister, and Yara had followed me on everything. Now, I didn't really meet Yara.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't even really, I think I saw her leaving out. Like, it was like she had to go. So she's like, her mom's like, oh, Yara, this is Mara. And I didn't even know where she went and followed me on Instagram, went and followed me on Twitter. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I didn't see them for another year. Let's see, I moved to LA that fall. That was July. I moved in the fall. I was with Mara Brock-Akil until close to the end of Love Is. I left a little before that. I was actually relieving my duties a little before that. And I ran into them at a concert. And I was unemployed at the time. I think I had lost my job like a week prior. And I see them, but I wasn't going to say anything. I try not to really be too invasive. They were at a concert, and that's not happening. It's like, if you see them once, I know I'll see them again. So for me, I'm just like, that'll continue to happen. But she came up to me, her mom was like, you ain't gonna say nothing?
Oh!
Like, I honestly, I didn't recall if you guys remembered any of this.
Right.
What I was up to. And I was like, well, I just lost my job, and I was on unemployment. Thankfully, I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing that right now with just everything going on in the world.
Right.
Because of Bossip, your unemployment really combined with like your year's salary, like your whole year prior. So I was comfortably living. So I wasn't even really looking for a job for a second. I just took a moment to start developing content, what I wanted to, I was working for somebody, and I was like, what do I want my story to be again? I've worked behind the scenes. I've done all these things. So I started developing a show that we actually are developing about my mother and I. And I was just telling them, I was like, I'm not really doing anything. They told me what they were up to, and they had just gotten a production deal at ABC for her Seventh Son Productions. Mm-hmm. And I was like, actually, I have something that really can kind of serve us both. I was like, you guys are looking for content. I know your relationship as mother and daughter. I have a very similar relationship with my mom. And so I knew I had something of value, but I also knew that it was going to be something that was beneficial to them as well. And so she's like, let's sit down and talk about it. So we sat down the next week, and they were still in the inner workings of finishing their deal. It wasn't finalized. But I was like, in the interim, again, I'm not employed. I was like, I have experience. I was a nanny off through college. I was like, I have experience with that. I've worked in graphic design. I've done copy. I've done marketing. So if you guys need anything, I'm not really doing anything right now.
Right.
And so I just started slowly but surely building a relationship with them. I did watch kids. She would just kind of ask me to weigh in on different opportunities. Like, oh, what are you thought about this? I know you're so creative. Do you have anything to contribute? And I remember the Instagram opportunity came, and she's like, do you have any ideas for this? And I was like, yeah, I want to do an elevated vlog, a very elevated vlog. And she's like, do you think for this kind of space? I'm like, yeah, I don't, what about, she doesn't speak to the camera, but it's like voiceover based. And she's like, okay, make the deck, pitch it. And we pitched it. It was crazy seeing the email she sent out to Instagram, and she let them know that I had created the concept. We kind of put it together just to find something, that made sure it was Yara's voice and, the voice of the company. And she's like, okay, they greenlit it. can you figure out what you're doing? And then it was like, literally, I remember we got Greenland. She's like, so do you want to come to Paris next week? And I was like,
yes.
I had gone abroad, but I had never been to Europe. And I was like, next week? She's like, yeah, so what about the first couple episodes? Can you do them in Paris? I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, my husband, he is a DP and a photographer. He's like, he can shoot, you'll produce it. Now, mind you, I don't speak French. I've never been to France. I had produced, I had been really an associate producer and assistant producer, but really just like, here's your budget, here's your stuff, go.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I need to hire an editor. I'm even trying to location scout, but we started shooting like the day we got to Paris. We went for the shoot for one of the faces of Pirelli last year.
Right.
And so literally my sister speaks French. I'm like, Ming, can you call places and see if they're open, available? Right. Literally just producing this shoot, no prep time. And we did it. And I remember we sent the first one to Instagram, and within literally like 20 minutes, they were like, we've never seen anything like this. Can you guys do X amount more?
Oh,
and
love it. It's fantastic.
Thank you. And so that kind of took off, and that slowly, from that success, any type of thing that would come through, she's like, what are your thoughts? You have an idea for this, you have an idea for that. And then just with time, just contributing in that nature, really, and I don't want to say this, she's mentioned it before in different articles, like I kind of just became an invaluable party to their collaborative efforts. And so they brought me on earlier this year. I've been working with them for 2 years, brought me on full time to oversee. I'm director of creative media. Mm-hmm. So it kind of blossomed into like, okay, unscripted, like that's your wheelhouse, social, that's your wheelhouse, like anything. They are such collaborators. They're open to anything. But I think it was always coming with them. I didn't really kind of come to her and say, hey, I want to do. It was, here's my idea. I think this resonates with what you're trying to do. Even when I saw them at the concert, once she acknowledged me, I was like, oh, I have this is something I can contribute. This fits with, I know what you guys are doing because I've studied you. I know what you're passionate about. I know what you care about. So I wasn't coming to them with some idea. I wasn't pitching a breakdance show for Yara. So she's like, no, I was coming to something that was that resonated with everything they were trying to do. And so that's really how that came to be. And my relationship with them they really are like my second family. Like I work with them, but I was not homeless. I moved into an apartment, and literally the first day I was moving in, it was like people were putting the gates on their windows. I was like, wait, whoa. They're like,
what's happening?
Really, there was some break-ins. It was like a gang house across the street. And I remember I was working one day unguided, and I was like, I'm moving in, and then I'll head over there. And I remember I called them. I was like, okay, it's going to be a second because I'm doing all this. And she's like, pack up all your stuff, move it into our garage. You staying with us, figure out that stuff when you figure it out. And they're literally an extension of my family. Her and my mom, I consider them like both my moms.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yara and my baby sister have so much in common, and they're both 20. So like my sister calls them, they're my West Coast family. And then I have my family on the other side of the country. So it's been an amazing experience. But that's how I came to be. And but it's funny. The seed was planted years prior. Right. And I think all of those, when I think about Maura and all of these things, it was about planting those seeds. And I think in our original conversation, she knew what I was interested in because I talked about it. And I talked about why I resonated with them. And so it was, planting that seed and not expecting it to grow overnight. I didn't know what our relationship would be. And I'll wrap it up here. I remember it's to me, it literally sometimes gets me so emotional. The day I saw them, this was before I met with her about my concept for a show. I wrote in my journal just about reconnecting with them at the concert. And I was like, I'm not really sure what this relationship will blossom into. But I enjoy the synergy. I really love them as people. And I have several journals. So some I may not touch again for a while. Right. I picked up the journal. I happened to have grabbed it when I went to Paris. And I guess I hadn't journaled in it since then. And so my last entry happened to be 1 year prior to the date that I saw them at their concert. And the next year I was in Paris producing and directing and co-creating a show with them for Instagram. So that was such a full circle moment, like to get to see in my words, like I don't know what this relationship will become. I want to help and contribute in any way I can. And I just see it being a beautiful relationship. And, to now see what it's become it's greater than I could have asked or imagined.
Oh, I'm like, it's such a, because I didn't, I knew that you all had, a close relationship, but to hear like the full breadth of it, it's it's beautiful.
Yeah, to watch it blossom, or hear it rather.
And it's honestly so inspirational. But no, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, what I feel like stood out to me in that story was that you knew who was who. Like, that is a powerful detail of finessing. Like, it's not just knowing the main stage people.
It's never knowing the main stage.
Right. It's not that.
Not that they can't
do anything for it.
They don't sign a check. They don't make a hire unless you Beyonce, frankly.
Right.
Unless you are managing your show like that.
Right.
I learned that from a guy named James Andrews, and he told me, like, it doesn't matter. You need to know who they know. So I made it very early in college. I would look at who celebrities followed. I didn't really, and then I've studied. I think that was part of even establishing a relationship, because I had such a curiosity. So when I was in certain spaces, I knew such and such was going to be speaking, but I wasn't trying to have a question with the Q&A. I'd already peeped who their manager, their agent, their whatever, who's sitting.
Girl, a woman after my own heart. Hello.
Right.
So that's how I got down. I was like, let me take a step back. Y'all can go ask for your picture. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to be back here
chit-chatting with the person on the phone, getting them ready for the next event.
Exactly.
That has been, that's how I finessed a lot of stuff.
Elevated stalking. It's elevated stalking. You said elevated vlogs. Elevated stalking is what it is.
I did. That was it.
And you have to learn how to be strategic, because this business there is a lot of flash. There is a lot of things that look super sexy and fun, and like, oh my God, I dreamed of this. And like Paris from the outside looks amazing, but Paris would not have happened if you had not been strategic about, again, your approach, the work you had been doing up until that point, and if you didn't even have a good idea to present. I think a lot of people just see, again, they see the fun stuff, but it's like, to get to have these wonderful, like, once in a lifetime experiences, I'm like, do y'all realize how much work you have to do in preparation? And you have to be ready, because you could have bumped into them in the concert, been great to see them, and she asked you that.
Hello and goodbye.
Exactly.
And I think that you say that it's so much work behind that. I have to remind people all the time that it's like, I don't know. I mean, it could be a finesse to fame, but I've been doing this for 13 years. I'm 25. Like, I've been doing this almost half of my life.
Exactly.
And, even that, to have those relationships, to have those ideas, it wasn't coming. I've been thinking about, I have concepts. I do that all day. And so when the opportunity presents itself, I think that's finesse, that's luck. It's being prepared when the opportunity presents itself. And so many people come, and when you're establishing a relationship, it is, can you do? It is not, hey, this is something that I can contribute to you. This is something I'm bringing. I see what you guys are doing in the marketing plan. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever that is somebody of value.
Exactly.
And I think the finesse is really just getting people to see your value. But first, you have to recognize that value. Exactly. You have to cultivate that value. And the finesse is the opportunity when it comes, and you being ready to show that value.
Exactly. This is the perfect segue for, there was a lot of talk on social media in the past couple of weeks about mentorship and, how to approach a mentor, or, to get this help. And it's one of those things where I feel like I don't think that there is one right or wrong way to go about it, because sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's just the stars align. But I do think that there needs to be a conversation about building these connections, because one, if we don't open doors for people that are behind us or younger than us, or that want access or want to learn, then we're never going to grow. Then we are going to continue to have the tokenism, or you said just the two. And I would love to know you guys' experience. Like, I know, Maura, it's been very impactful for you, and I'd love to hear, Anastasia, from you as well, how, whether it's women or men or just other people in your circles have been in like those mentorship positions, positive or negative, like what your experiences have been with it.
I honestly don't have many negative experiences with mentorship, thankfully. I can say it's interesting. I know there was a big conversation around mentorship on social, and it reminded me, one of my dear, we tell this story all the time, so I don't have any problem saying her name, but Ty Bosch, one of my good mentors, big sister, and I've also been her creative assistant and her co-producer and associate producer and all of the like. And I met Ty at a time that I was probably 18. I think I was a freshman in college, so it was 17 or 18. And I met her at the Women of Color Conference, where I also met Vanessa DeLuca and numerous other people. And I had done my research. I knew who was going to be at the conference. I knew what I resonated with and who I probably could learn from and things like that. And I remember I went up to her, still having value, but kind of the approach was wrong. I'm just like, I would love to really, if you have the availability, just to really kind of get to know more about your experience. And I would love, the opportunity for you to mentor me. And she said, I take mentorship very seriously. And, I would like to have a deeper relationship before I would take on something like that. Right. Here's my contact information, stay in contact. So it was really a no. And it was like, not saying it was going to be a permanent no, as I could have already told you it was not, but I took the information, I reached out to her, and I was just checking in. I was checking in pretty regularly. I was not only checking in, I was keeping up with what she was doing, which I always tell people to do. It's an easy entry point to conversation. Any boss that I've had, I'm like, oh, I saw you guys did this amazing campaign, great show, whatever, congrats on this. And I recall I just wrapped, I was a PA on Bessie, and I had just wrapped Bessie, and I think I had slept in. It was during my summer of my freshman or sophomore year, and she called me at like 9 a.m. randomly. I still to this day don't know what inspired this call, because we'd only been emailing. And she's like, what brands do you want to work with? What do you want to do? And she just gave me all this homework. And since then we've been cool, but she told me that was an inappropriate way to, I didn't have a relationship with her to kind of be asking for her to, give me her knowledge, give me her time, whatever. So it reminded me to just make sure that I am, planting that seed and developing that relationship, cultivating it there. And I think since then, it has been, I don't think I've established you are my mentor. I don't think you always have to, but I think
like an unspoken truth.
What'd you say?
I was like, it's like an unspoken truth. Like
it's an unspoken truth. And, for me, it is, I pride myself on the amount of intergenerational relationships I have. I have older parents. My dad is in his 60s, my mother's in her late 60s. So for my friend group, I have an older set of parents. And so it's a lot of things. I've always found value in understanding their stories and their wisdom. I wasn't always looking to my friends to teach me stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to somebody who done it. So I've always known that was important. So I think it was just developing those relationships, and in developing them, I come to them about my life. I come to them about opportunity. Hey, I have this. What could I charge for that? And a lot of it is it's unspoken, and so I would just learn from them. And sometimes the mentorship comes in the form of proximity. Yes, because we develop a relationship, whether it is I'm volunteering, helping them out, I'm learning so much just being in their space. I'm taking that in, and that implies I think a lot of people are looking to have a mentor that they check in with and all of this stuff. So many people are so busy that's difficult even for me, and I'm not that busy. I have mentors that check in once a quarter, but for me, I have mentors that I've never even met. I've decided, whatever they say, I've decided.
You're mine.
I'm listening to their podcast. I'm listening to a lot of people give so much away for free.
Yes.
And you don't have to have necessarily the closest relationship. That could be great, but I have relationship with people that I've only talked to once a year. So following on Instagram is no different. I had their phone number, but I may reach them, may not. And so I think for me, it's really just been about, again, just establishing those intergenerational relationships, and not just establishing them, really, really cultivating them.
Yes.
I try to do fairly regular check-ins, or just I'm thinking of you, keeping up with what they're doing. And also I think, maintaining that piece. A lot of them were open to giving me to pouring into me, because I also wanted to pour in and help them. So if Ty had something, I was showing up. Did she need something?
Yeah.
All of my mentors, they can speak that they may not even know that I'm in a city, and if I saw they had an event, I'm pulling up, because that's
like,
how I
I'm
can.
That's just
I
it.
wanted all of those things. And so you do that enough, people see you're genuine. This isn't, I'm a, dine and dash. Like, we're in it. We're in it.
They respect your efforts. Your efforts are
Exactly.
respected.
And so that's been my experience with mentorship. It's been the most invaluable thing. And I work diligently to do that for a lot of people. I do know, I won't speak too in depth on what the conversation was online, but somebody approaching someone about mentorship and kind of being turned down from that because of the approach. Now, I've had those experiences, and having not only experienced it firsthand, but also people approach me like that. I'm thankful that somebody, not in a, didn't blast me or anything like that, but just told me that that's not how to go about it. And so I do take, I consider it something that I am required to do, to each one teach one. Like, you just don't know. You don't know.
That's
exactly. For a moment of education of like, sis,
come here. Like, let's
Yeah.
I've had to come back through, and I've responded to emails, not in the same way, but of like, sis, I'm just letting you know, whenever you approach somebody, me or somebody else may not take the time to say this.
Right.
But one, my name, you should introduce yourself. I don't know what you want. I don't know you from the man on the damn moon.
Right.
You know my name wrong. You just all of these things, and I'll walk through all of that. I might write you a 4-page letter back of, I'll answer your questions, but I'm gonna let you know that I took the time to do this, and everyone does not have that.
Exactly.
A lot of people who have already dismissed you. So I think it is up to us who are, who find it important to bring the next generation up to take that time. Some people just don't know better. And if you know better, you do better. And I'm thankful to have had mentors who check me. That's not, you're backstage, you don't ask for a picture, sis. That's dead. Like, you don't do that. You don't do that.
I'm the big sis that pulls like people and does that, because I'm like, look, no, come on, we gotta act like we've been here.
Like, these are your peers. Don't fangirl.
Right.
Your peers. You're supposed to be here. You're here. You're supposed to be here. So let's act like it. So that's been my experience with mentorship, and I would talk about all of them. There's an amazing article in Forbes that I got to shout them all out.
Love it.
I have so many mentors, most of them who are Black women. But that's been invaluable as well, just as invaluable as my HBCU experience.
Definitely. For those of you watching, that, feel that you want a mentor, you've always hoped you could get one. One piece that I feel like was important about what you said was that, there are people that you listen to their podcast, or, and, you read their work, or the things that they create. We can't always get to, like, I feel like Oprah is my mentor. I have never met Oprah. At some point we will be speaking each other's names. But until then, this woman has given us like so many footsteps to follow. Michelle Obama don't know, but she's my mentor as well. Like, I have real life women that I can touch, but then I also have women, again, that are laying like a fabulous blueprint for us to follow. And one of the things also too, that I think with the situation I saw on social, when I kind of saw it, it was more about the same thing. So few of us are getting to do what we're doing. Like, what I do for a living, there is not even a real title for it, because all this stuff didn't exist 5 years ago.
So, title for my job, I don't even know what a director created.
You know what I mean? Issa's on there talking about, well, I guess I'm a culture curator. I say, Issa, I think I might, you know what I mean? It's like,
I might have to take that.
Literally saying, ooh, I might update my body. That may be
right.
Yeah.
And I think that what's being lost is that, like, this is not corporate America. Like, everybody's trying to figure it out, and 98% of people are going to go about it wrong, because there is no, like, there's no formal grooming. There's no, all these things that I think that we kind of held up as like the standard of like excellence and professionalism. We're in different spaces now, and no, you don't have to answer every email, because who has time to do that? But I think you're right. If you can kind of pull somebody's like to the side right quick and be like, hey, I can't do XYZ, but this might be a better way to go about it, then I would challenge everybody, please do that. Like, I'm so thankful for, young women in my life like you guys, because what I also think is that, like, those of us that are kind of here benefit from people that are there, who benefit from people that are here. Like, all of those different energies, you learn. I have people that I feel like that advise me that are 15 years younger, because it's a different approach than what I was groomed to do. So it's like, if I want to move in new spaces, I've got to maybe learn from somebody that's younger than me. So mentorship also doesn't always mean that, you know, it can mean different things. And I think it's time for us to start like giving it a little looser interpretation. It's not that traditional corporate experience where this person, you know, puts you under their wing and you work under them and we have check-in sessions. Like, it may just be like, text me every 2 weeks, send me a DM, forward me a screenshot of it. I'll give you my feedback, and we, you know, we can keep it pushing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's like being flexible.
One thing I know, one of my, because I have many best friends in my head, as I'm sure we all do. One of my best friends in my head and mentor from afar is Maya Washington, more likely known as Shameless Maya. So one thing she said that just kind of blew my wig back years ago was, when you're in search of a mentor, do not go to them without having something to offer, something to the table. Because so many people, they say, oh, I want to do photography, or I want to do this and the third. But have you tried? Before you want me to pick up all the pieces and create and mold you into X, Y, and Z, or a mini me, have you tried? Have you used all your resources? Have you used Google? Like,
Google. I'm like, you didn't Google.
Right.
You didn't Google that.
Yeah, mentorship is not being a parent. Like, I'm not like, it's not parents. It's literally giving some guidance. It's some check-ins. But again, it's like, what work have you done on your own to get to a point that, because I think what a lot of people misunderstand about mentorship, it's about kind of taking you from like a mid-level to the next. It's not necessarily taking you from infancy to mid.
Not building.
Right.
That's not
your mentor. You're not meant to suckle at the mentor's breast. This is not that situation. It's not, you know, they're here to give you the meat and potatoes and to make sure that, you know, you continue to grow and you're continuously nourished. But another thing that Maya Washington, Shameless Maya, love her, plug her. She was also speaking about like, okay, so say you have something to bring to the table. Have you invested in yourself before you start asking me financially? Like, oh, can you help me with this? Or who do I speak to about that? I need to see what you've done. What have you bought? What money have you raised? What have you done to push your own projects forward via Instagram or social media? What have you done to make sure that I know you're worth investing? Because you got to check yourself first. If you don't invest in yourself first, nobody else is really going to want to put money into that empty bucket. It's like somebody's tap dancing. They have no money in it. No one really wants to be the first one to put the coin in. Like, they want to build upon an established foundation. So yeah, with the mentorship thing, I definitely took that to heart, and I took that with a grain of salt, but I also applied that to the way I carried out all the different questions I had for people who are in those different spaces. Like for Maura, for example, I wasn't going to be like, oh, you know, hey boo, put me on with Yara. What? Sis?
Right.
No, like, I want to know, I want to pick your brain. I want to hear your mind, your opinions. I want to know how you got to where you got, so I can sift through everything and say, this will work for me, this is not.
This does not. You inhale the good and exhale with the
bad. Exactly.
And not only that, but what I want to do is not necessarily what you want to do. So it's not like law school or med school where you're like, these are the surefire steps to be a doctor or a lawyer, take the MCAT, do this. We live and we operate in a very different realm in which it's fly by night. It changes, quarantine, we're all not working. It's like, it's not the same business as usual type of setting. So I can't just follow the exact footsteps as the person above me, because there's nobody above me. There's nobody above me doing what I do. There's not anyone out here like, I'm going to go teach kids finesse. Well, I do that too. No one's doing that. So just trying to figure out our own lane and stay in that joint and, you know, admire the cars that pass by, but, you know, understand that this is your vehicle, sweetheart.
This is your lane.
Drive your vehicle. Like, so that's pretty much
a fantastic point. Like, make your own personal investments and start to, you know, get your own momentum going. And I've found like anything that I've done, if I like, once I got the ball rolling, it's almost like magic. Like people appear and people are like, they see you working, they see you creating, they see you building, and they're like, okay, there. Because also people are watching to see if you're consistent. Are you always starting projects and then they disappear? Are you always kind of launching something every 2 weeks and then it's just like, oh, she's always doing whatever? It's like, no, how are you consistently showing up in spaces? What work, what do you consistently have to say? Is it a value? Is the content level high? Because now it's not about money. You can use an iPhone and create amazing content. So I think it's just for everyone that's, maybe sitting here and again, you're at maybe you are at the infancy stage, or you're even at the mid stage and feeling like, you wish you had that person to kind of help you keep moving. I still feel like I'm ready for somebody to call me for certain things, but I can't wait for that. I have to still continue to create and execute to the best of my abilities with what I have and in the spaces that I can be in. So we have to take that ownership. So I would challenge everybody that's watching, ask yourself, like, am I doing all that I can to, finesse in my own spaces and in my own life for these dreams and these, these things that I want to create. Now, before we wrap, I want to touch on one last thing with you, Maura, because we cannot, because I feel like you're this most amazing finesse of late. And I will say, I like that you're kind of reclaiming Anastasia finesse, because sometimes when you hear about people finessing people, it's a scam. So we are not talking about scamming.
This is that back,
I think finesse. I think it does have it has such a positive spin, especially with the HBCU culture. Like,
yes,
you finesse your way through school. Like that's to me, like that's like you said, it's an elevated type of hustle. So I love Finesse Factory. The alliteration is awesome.
It's dope. So let's talk about Verzuz and Feminine Forward, because again, you are the Renaissance woman, multi-hyphenate, in front of the camera, behind the camera, do creative direction, doing all these things, but you do also have the art and graphics background. And this beautiful graphic comes out for Verzuz for the Jill Scott and Erykah Badu battle. And like days later, I see on my timeline, Mara's like, oh, by the way, I did this. And I was like,
I don't think I even said it until actually the day of.
Like you waited. And
people were like, girl, I've been sharing this and you didn't say nothing. Like, why does no one know that you did this?
Right. Well, first, how did it even, how did this even happen?
I really wish it was such a really cool story, but it's not. It goes back to relationship building. Heather Lowry is the CEO of Feminine Forward, which is a subsidiary of Live Nation. Mm-hmm. Heather and I met through a big Spelman sister who's also my cousin, Dana Gills. When I was there, Dana knowing what I wanted to do, they're both in entertainment. Heather did a pop-up, I want to say, on Clark's campus. It was Halloween, sophomore year. It was literally on Halloween day. And I offered, it was with DJ, it might have been Drama, it might have been Envy, as well as a few DJs, a brotherhood campaign. And I offered I was like, I whatever you need, really. I've done set decoration, I've, meeting up questions. She took my help, I assisted there. And I think she might have just, in following me, saw me share graphic work that I'd done prior. So she'd reached out early when I had a creative agency years ago, and she was one of my first clients, and I did some work with her for the Grammys and just numerous projects. Every so often, it's funny, Heather she'll have teams, and a lot of people will, and I think people just know sometimes, like, I get it. Like, I get not only sometimes if it's an homage to Black culture, like I get all of the pieces, and I studied so much across the board, and so sometimes she'll be like, they just didn't get it. Do you think you could just do this? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. So that was literally how Verzuz came up. She texted me and was like, girl, we doing the first Verzuz. Actually, take a step before that. Right when quarantine happened, I decided I didn't, because I just didn't invest in this. I was like, we should do a festival. Like, the two of us should do a festival. And then I was like, Mara, you don't even really want to do music. Like, I was just putting my feet in too many projects. But I was like, girl, whatever you need, just hit me up. That's how we kind of get down. And so she did. She's like, Swizz hit me up. We're doing Feminine Forward. Jill and Erykah. I'm freaking out. I literally was joking when the actual battle was going on. I'm like, driving with my mom has literally prepared me for this moment, because there is not a Jill Scott song that I do not know. So no, Heather hit me up and was like, yo, can you throw something together for me? I said, absolutely. She sent over a few different pictures. And I think she's like, what are your thoughts? And I was like, I'm definitely, I definitely am resonating with Shabazz picture. And I took it, and I just kind of came up with my ideas, and she let me go ham. I mean, she gave me the details, as she always does. Heather just kind of lets me do. Most people, when you come to me, and I don't do graphics publicly much.
Right.
I do them, and it's crazy. The stuff that I've gotten to do, like my very first graphic job was for Manny Fresh's birthday party. So, and it had like Solange and like, it was crazy. And like, so like but I'm such a quiet, low-key person that like, when people come to me, they trust my vision. I don't promote, because I ain't really trying to go back and forth with you about what I'm doing. And so it's something, you come to me because you're coming for my voice. You're coming for, you're coming for all of it. You're coming for me. Like, you should make an agency and hire people. I was like, nah, because every time I try to do that, people want me. That's what they want. They want, that's the sauce. And so I cooked up something. She loved it. She literally was like, I'm sending it to Erica, Swizz, and Jill for feedback. And that was it. And then I didn't really hear anything for a few days. And she's like, it's dropping tomorrow. Can you add Erica wants the central time on hers? And I was like out getting some quarantine groceries, dropped my groceries. She's like, we need it before they go to sleep. I rushed home. Got it done. It was out literally within moments. It was everywhere. I was like, this is crazy. And for a while, you know, I didn't think of it as anything. It was just like, that was something for my big sister. It is what it is. And my friends were like, one, not only do you love these artists, I can honestly say, unless there is a Beyonce Verzuz, there is not a Verzuz I would much rather have been a part of. It was such a moment, but I think seeing just how historical the moment was becoming, and even all of the battles. I mean, it's unheard of. People don't have this much time, especially in this industry, so that people are getting to celebrate and go through their discography and have these conversations. Like, we are receiving such a gift. And so it kind of hit me that I was like,
part of that, you have that legacy
in that way. Like I've always had my thumbprint on the culture in some way. Most people don't, you don't know it. It's a very behind the scenes thing. And so I think I just randomly felt really good about it right that day. I was like, I'm gonna share it. And I did, and everyone literally was like, I had no idea this was your work. But everyone said a similar comment. They were like, I knew it was something new going on. Everybody was like, something was
nothing since then.
There was a shift in the atmosphere.
Different about this one, and it was crazy that day. I think when I did that, one of my friends saw that I did it. She connected me with one of Alicia Keys' old creative directors, and he and I have been speaking. He's not necessarily working on Verzuz per se, but we just kind of connected from there, and it's been really, really cool. Who knows? I mean, if there is another Feminine Forward and Heather wants me, needs me, cool. If I just did that one, I mean, that had the most.
That's the one to do.
It had the most impressions of any place. It's been everywhere. I mean, just to even see like Betty Shabazz's daughter posted on her page, like I'm like, oh my God, like Malcolm X's child has posted this, Erykah Badu's posted this, I'm like, everybody was sharing it. Like I heard like Jay-Z was in the battle. I'm like, Michelle Obama was in it. Like everyone had seen it, so it was cool that everyone had seen it. So it's a dope moment. Shout out to Heather for letting me be a part of it and trusting me creatively always.
But you've been consistent, Mara. You've been consistent in the work that you do. Like you said, people trust it. They know it's excellent. It's not like, oh, well, maybe. You always deliver. And that's like, for everyone that wants like moments like that, you have to consistently deliver over time for someone in that space to be able to trust you to call you. Cause like, they know that this is a huge moment. So it's like, like we just finished watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. Everybody's not getting the ball in the last second of the game. When you need that guarantee.
I think it's the execution. I think all of it. I think, I talked about opportunity and kind of just being prepared when those opportunities happen. But I think like I execute fully all the time, no matter how small. I go big. I'm a stickler for visuals, so like I don't even present ideas unless it's like a fleshed out deck. I started doing decks for people because they were like, who did, like, I'm like, y'all be presenting these janky ass PowerPoints? Like,
yes, presentation is everything.
From the beginning, from every piece, it's always just gonna be tight. And and that, I think that for me, that's my brand. Like, I think, people talk about brands so much, but it really is about, it's consistency. It's what people know you for. It's brand recognition. And like my brand recognition, it's not necessarily fame, but it's excellence.
And that, ooh, honey.
That's a mouthful.
That's, I've done things that most people don't know. I wrote on Jesse Williams as a game celebrity. I'm one of the writers of the game. And I've done so many things. Got to work on Love Is, which I think is amazing, and Black Lightning. I helped assist cast Janelle Monáe's yoga video. I worked for Akon, worked in BET Awards. I've touched so much, and it's crazy to think about it. Just even at my age, I'm like, wow, quarter of a century. Like, wow, like what is the next 20? What's the next 45 years gonna look like? Because I've got to do so many dope things. But it's just continuing to be excellent and elevate our stories, our culture, our voices in the absolute best light. I think that's all I want to do is elevate.
Yeah. I love it. Well, then I'm like this, and then this is perfect because the last question comes from your latest project. You did, the Levi's and Attention.com project, which one was fantastic. And it was all about amplifying, voices that we don't get to hear. So, and as your last, comment to the audience, what voices do you want to amplify?
Black voices. That's without a doubt.
Everybody Black.
Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody Black. It doesn't matter what the landscape is. People ask me all the time, what'd you think about this, that, and the third? And I think Kenya said it best. It's like, regardless if you like the project, you want it to win. I want there to be such a large landscape that it don't matter if it appeals to me or not. I don't care.
Exactly.
I want people to be able to. I'm big on autobiographical text, specifically in the Black space, because we don't get to tell our stories much. Historically, we have not gotten to do that. Yes. It is the greatest honor to be able to elevate Black voices. That is all I want to do with my life. I want to do my own stories. I want to put people in position to do it themselves. I want to be able to contribute to whatever story they want to tell. And that's it. That's all I want to do is elevate our voices.
I feel renewed.
I do.
Feel inspired.
I like Black History Month every month, baby.
Black History Month every month.
This is 24. I live Black. I don't even. I'm like, it's a month. Oh, my life is Blackity Black. My life is so Black. Like people are like, Mara, good. Like I'm brown liquor. Like I'm so.
I love it. I'm like. Exactly. All Black everything. Mara, thank you so much for, sharing your story, your experiences, the behind the scene tidbits, the gems. And I honestly, again, I say this because you guys inspire me. I sit there, I'm like, my little sisters are just doing it. And it's just, I learned so much from watching how you all move. And I take and I think about how you guys move when I make my own moves. And it's just know that the work that you're doing, you are seen. And we, and it's just beautiful. Like you said, the work that you're doing is impacting us and we don't even know it. So I hope that you are proud. I hope that, because really the things that you are doing have been fantastic. And the things that you have yet to do are going, we're going to revisit this for a very grand conversation in 10, 15 years.
I have probably I think my biggest project to date would be 2022.
Okay.
I think my first feature will be out in 2022, and the people who signed on to help bring that to life is I'm mind blown by people who want to.
I love it.
So it's coming. It's so many things. But I thank you both. Thank you for such an amazing conversation, Anastasia. Thank you for inviting me to be a guest for this inaugural episode. I don't take that lightly. That you even feel that I have a story enough to share. And I pray anybody listening has received something. If you just leave with something.
Just a taste.
That's all you left with one thing, then that's enough. But just be gracious and just be excellent. Excellent.
Man, this was beautiful, y'all. My heart is full. I feel good. I feel like these lights back here. This was a vibe, and I'm just proud to be, on the same internet frequency wave as you two, and I pray that just comes on and fills up my household, and that, the next time we see each other on the carpet or the stage, or maybe I'm in theater seeing your stuff.
Celebration. The next time, it's always a celebration. I link up with Black women. It's always.
Yeah.
Somebody is celebrating something.
Yes.
I'm there to cheer. Whether it is for me, I'm always there. I'm on the sideline. I'm always there to support, to advocate, to just amplify whatever it is either of you guys and really most people are doing.
This concludes the first Finesse Fame interview.
Yes. Yay! Thank you. I'm just happy because this was bomb and
no, this was great. You should like, this is going to be, I think, a great kickoff. And I think the conversation that you're going to be having, people need them. It's like, so keep like right now, I'm like, everybody keep pushing, keep creating. Like this is, we need it. We need all of it.
Right. Just keep shining. That's what you do.
There you go. You just step up, you step out, and you shine. There you go. I'm like, it's all full circle.